Welcome back to the Brunch Beauty Life podcast. I'm your host, Connie, the Inspiring Stylist.
And I'm Ashley at Naturally Ashley Rowe.
Make sure you are following us on all platforms Brunch Beauty Life podcast, YouTube, IG, TikTok.
And also make sure you subscribe, like, share, and comment, please.
All right. So let's just go ahead and just jump into it.
Okay.
We're going to talk about accountability today.
Yes.
Say it again.
Accountability.
Accountability.
Today.
Give them the definition.
Okay. So pure Merriam-Webster. Accountability is an obligation or willingness to accept responsibility or to account for one's actions.
Accept responsibility.
Yes, to the willingness and the obligation to accept responsibility or to account for one's actions. And I think the key thing in there is the willingness and having an obligation to accept responsibility. So when we talk about accountability, we can see, especially because we are friends and we know each other, and she's also my mentor, my forever boss lady. We can talk about it in the business perspective as well as in the personal perspective. I am dealing with the fallout of accountability and not the lack of my accountability.
Okay. So you're taking accountability for your part in it.
Absolutely.
Are we talking about business or personal?
We're going to start with business.
Okay, we're going to start with business.
I have accountability. I operate with it. It's part of my standard. It's part of who I am. My model of who I am is to accept accountability, good, bad, or indifferent, right? I will always acknowledge my part in something. I will always acknowledge what I do wrong, and I will accept and own my responsibility in a situation.
All right.
My problem is dealing with others who do not have a sense of accountability. And in business, that is very trying.
And it's common.
Yes, it's common.
It's very common.
I saw something on social media where they were talking about the state of the salon industry and the hair industry. And I think that the biggest problem in the hair industry is the lack of ownership and accountability. It cannot be if you are now on going to possibly salon number 4 that it's the salons.
Yeah.
It cannot be that
I don't get along with other women. When people say that, when especially women that say, I don't get along with other women, that is a red flag, a major red flag. Something wrong with you.
Yes, it's the lack of owning it. You know, you cannot fix or change anything that you do not own, right? If you don't say, okay, well, here's where I went wrong, or then you won't grow and you'll continue to make the same mistakes.
And you will continue to have the same issues from place to place to place, from female to female to female, person to person to person, relationship to relationship. It's going to be the same because you are the common denominator.
Yes. And you have to get to a point where enough is enough. Everybody is not the problem. When do we start taking it into ourselves and saying, hey, I'm the problem? And sometimes it could even be I'm the problem and I'm fine with me being the problem. I have taken that stance when it comes to my business. I am the problem and I'm fine with it, with me being the problem.
Now elaborate that. Like how are you in your business? How are you the problem? And how are you okay with it?
Well, I'm the problem because of my standards and my just integrity that I have. So my standards are high. And that's because they're high for me. I do not ever try to compete with other people. There's enough everything out here for everyone to succeed and to win. So there's no competition meter for me. My competition is me. So I have high standards. I have high standards on how I want my clients to be treated. I have high standards on making sure that I'm fair to my clients and making sure that I'm fair to myself and making sure that I show up for my stylist. I offer mentoring. I do everything that I possibly can. So if you're not moving in my standards, then I'm fine with you going somewhere else. And I'm also direct. And I've had to, because I'm direct, I've had to work on my delivery for years. Because I don't do anything with a heart of malice. I'm not coming at you with the intentions of malice. I'm not trying to cut you down to size. Now, could I read someone down? Absolutely. I can read you down, but that's not how I want to operate. I want to operate in peace. At 40, I have learned that the price of peace is expensive, and I'm willing to pay it. All right?
We've gotten to a point where you're not in alignment with the vision of our business anymore. Because, I mean, people, like you said, people are not taking accountability. And the things that I hold myself accountable for, I'm going to hold you accountable for. You know, if we hold our clients accountable for being late. So, for example, if a client is 15 minutes or more late, that might come with a fee, right? Or if it's going to like throw your day off completely, it may be that they have to reschedule. Like you may cancel their appointment, which can come with another fee. But what happens when the stylist is 15 minutes late and this client has been sitting and waiting, right? And I see it all the time. Stylists just stroll up in there like, I'm here. Oh, whatever. Yeah, I had to take a Uber to get to work. Or, I mean, like, they just have all of these excuses and all of these reasons to why they're late. And for me, that's a big pet peeve because my timing is impeccable, okay?
Yes. She got me here.
You know, I woke up this morning to a text from her. She needed a ride from work. I'm like, okay, I'll be there around 9:30ish. We had to be here by 10 o'clock. And in that time, I still chill, relax, got myself together, you know, went through a whole wardrobe malfunction, then left. I'm on the way. Go and get her on the app. Starbucks. Ordering us both some chai tea lattes with cheese Danish. Get to her house. Pick her up. Get here, and we still on time.
Yes, still on time. So
Still on time. Like
yes.
I'm like that's one of my biggest pet peeves because I'm a on time type of stylist.
And that's also probably your ethos and how you navigate your life.
It is.
As
Everything
well as
is
like
down
your
to the
life,
minute.
your personal life, your business life, that's your standard.
Yeah.
And so that's why I said for me, I could be the problem. I am the problem because
And she owns that
I'm
she's the
not
problem.
going to lower my standards. I'm not going to lower my standards.
Yeah. Because at that point, that's your brand, that's your reputation, that's your business name. And if they're not upholding and taking accountability for that, you know, when they go out, they're not talking about, oh, that stylist or over there, those stylists over. They're talking about the brand. Oh yeah, don't go to so and so because
Yeah, they don't accept your appointments. You don't know if you have an appointment today.
Yeah,
Or don't go to them because
they always late.
Or don't go to them because they have a retightening that is booked. And the retightening is 7 to 8 hours, and I paid $140 for that. That is against my standard and my brand. So that's why I said I'm fine with me being the problem. I own it. I own that my standards are high. I own that I expect a lot. I also expect a lot because I give a lot.
And I was about to say that. Oh, you took that right out my head because I was going to say that. Like, we
own
give
that.
so much.
We give so much. I had a meeting with my team, and I told them, can you tell me one way that I have not provided what I said I would provide for you? You have never come to me and told me that you did not receive your pay, and I told you, oh, it was that's looking like next week. You have not come to me and said, oh, I don't have the product that I need to do my clients' hair, and I'd be like, well, I ain't been to the store yet. You have not come to me and said, it's been 2 weeks and I'm sitting behind an empty chair. You have had clients, you've had consultations, you have had the bookings. Everything that I said that I was going to do, I've done. I've offered mentoring, but you don't want to take it. I'm telling you, hey, put a timer on yourself because we don't have a clock back here so that you can be aware of your time. I don't hear the timer going on. You're not taking accountability. But you're going to ask me to give you more money to increase the pricing of your services when you have not taken accountability of why you're not getting to the clients that you need.
Mm-hmm.
But it's me.
Yep.
So that's why I said I will take ownership. It is me. Because I'm not going to reward bad behavior. I'm not going to price gouge my clients just because others do. I don't care that someone just took the sister lock training and is charging $200 for maintenance
Mm-hmm.
with no skill, no certification,
No speed,
no speed,
no quality.
no, and they're also not shampooing you. So why would I compare my pricing to that person?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm going to price accordingly that's fair to myself and fair to my client. So when I say that, and I say that as I don't know what you want me to do. I can't say it, well, unfortunately, you're slow and I'm not going to price it that way. I can say it like that, or I can say, you need to show me why I need to make go up on this price.
Mm-hmm.
What have you done to say that your skill set is requiring this price?
Mm-hmm.
You cannot style. You cannot do repairs. Your time frame is not correct. So the overall quality isn't correct. That does not mean a price increase.
Mm-hmm.
But when I say that, I'm the bad guy.
Well, and then you know what happens after that? People just go and do their own thing. But
Yes.
then, you go and do your own thing. You're not really ready to do your own thing because you don't even have the clientele to support. And when I say do your own thing, we're gonna say like going into a salon suite, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the biggest controversies out here is, oh well, salon suites have kind of like ruined the industry, which we're gonna say that for a whole nother episode. But
Mm-hmm.
people aren't even ready to be in one, and they go in one because they don't want to be bothered. They want to be able to charge what they charge, do their own thing, but they're not even looking at themselves. Again, going back to taking accountability and even saying, okay, well, you know, I can charge this because of this. I have this, blah, 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 blah. And you don't. You're late. You're slow. You're not providing good quality service. Now you're in the situation where you're by yourself and in a suite and you don't have the clientele to sustain it. Then now you're hopping around from building to building, and it's the buildings that got the issues. You haven't even taken a step to look at yourself to say, well, maybe it's me.
Yeah. And I have done everything that I possibly could to go into myself.
Hmm.
Okay, making sure I'm doing my part. Okay, I'm not going to let a problem progress. So, doing 30, 60, 90 reviews with the stylist. Also, making sure that we're constantly having a communication. Am I coaching correctly? Asking the right questions when I'm doing interviews. So, I have taken the look into myself and the look into my business model and the look into, how I'm going about things to see where I could be better.
Hmm.
And each time that I do that, I'm growing and I'm getting better. But what I'm finding is that the vast multitude of people do not have inside of them accountability.
Mm-mm.
They do not want to accept responsibility for their actions and why it's now led to this point.
Listen,
And not wanting to grow.
yeah, but again, when I look at you, along with some of the other ladies, the original, girl, the
We
original
call it the
crew,
dream team.
we
We
were
were
the
the
dream
dream
team.
team.
Okay, when I look at y'all from where y'all started with just coming out of school, zero clientele, how you progress 6 months later, another 6 months later. So by a year, you got a full clientele, or it may be not full because you could take more clients. You have a consistent clientele to where you could look at your schedule for 3 or 4 months and see, oh, okay, I got clients that are consistently coming back. When I see that, the proof is in the pudding. So if
Absolutely.
you've been with us for a year or 2 years, and I look at your calendar for the following month and you only got 2 or 3 or 4 people on your calendar, there is a problem. That is a problem.
Yes.
Because if you're telling me, oh, okay, well, this is the one that we hear a lot of. Okay, yep, I want to build, I want to build, I want to build. So you're here full time, but okay, you're not showing up because it's like, oh, well, I don't have a client on my book, so I guess I'm not going to come in today. All right, well, guess what? When this person walk in through the door, I'm not calling you to come in.
Absolutely.
I'm going to give it to the person that showed up for work. So when you watch
Absolutely.
their books get full, and you're confused to why you're not getting the people, check yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Then when so you got that aspect of it, then they don't want to put in the work. Like they don't want to go out here, they don't want to pass out cards, they want to be in what we call the broke room all day is when you in the
Hmm.
back in the room with no windows and you can't see what's
Exactly.
going on in the front on the sidewalk. Yeah, they it's just too many things. And again, 6 months later, a year later, you're here and you don't have nothing to show for it. And then you say, oh well, I gotta go get a job. I gotta go get a part-time job. And now we see this part-time job is becoming your full-time and you're spending less and less in time, but you're saying you want to grow. No. We had one stylist, she said she was going to get a part-time job. I said, well, why would you do that? And she was like, because I need the extra money and I'm trying to do XYZ. I said, okay, cool. I said, well, before you go and do that, I said, think about how many times you've left the salon early, that you said no, and turned down services because you were tired. Potentially could have came in on your off day to take on clients, but you don't want nobody wants to come in on their off days. I said, think about that, calculate it, add it up, do your commission, whatever the case, and then holler back at me. You know what she did? Now on Sunday, she go to work. you know,
Yes.
she come to work on Sundays, maybe even Mondays. She calling me like, "Hey, I'm here. Can you let me in?" You know what I'm saying? Like it's like,
You have to take that's
yeah,
accountability.
that's
So
accountability.
when I first started, I was doing a sister lock retightening for $75 to $85
Mhm.
on a 50% commission. To make it make sense for me, as far as for transitioning from my previous career to now making this my full time career, I had to make some swift changes and make some have some accountable conversations with myself. In order to make this work, that means I have to stretch myself beyond where I was before.
Mhm.
So instead of being like seeing someone and be like, oh my gosh, there's so much here, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to take that client. That just seems like that's going to be a long and hard, and I'm already at this time frame, and I don't. It's going to take forever. Is it worth it? I said no. It's a challenge. It's worth it. This is an opportunity for me to practice and get my skills up, and I'm going to get paid for it.
Mhm.
I took everything. I worked every day to build my clientele. I literally worked every day
Mhm.
from sun up to sundown. First one in, last one out, and that's what the work it requires, but that also takes accountability.
You know what? Someone asked me, and this was recent. They was like, "Can I come into the salon industry and not have to put in the work?" Meaning, like, I don't want to have to work long and hard. I just want to, have a small schedule. Can I come in to the industry setting the tone for that? And like everybody, all of us looked and was just like, no,
No.
because one, don't nobody know you. You don't have a clientele. So to already come in with a limitation on, well, I don't want to be in here working like that, you kind of you working against yourself.
Yes.
I mean, maybe it's an old school way of
No, it's
thinking.
not, because I was able to see with the new hires that I had one person that she had another job which was overnight, but she still gave full-time availability. And her books were constantly open. So guess what? Those consultations was being put on her because of course she has availability, versus the other one that was full time, but there's different blockings on the books.
Mhm.
Or if they got a client and they see like it's too much space, they just go ahead and block out the rest of the day. Well, guess what? That was somebody that could have possibly gotten a consultation.
Mhm.
So I watched as her books rise, the other one was kind of stagnant. And I think they were maybe banking off of the bookings that were going to come from my tenured awesome stylist leaving. And that did happen, but
You
you
still
still
got to
have to
put in
put in
work.
the work. You still have to be available. But then you're looking at it and saying, oh, well, you've done 5 installs and I've only had one since I've been here. Yeah, but she has availability.
Mhm.
Her books have never been closed. I have literally had clients ask me about, oh, who would you suggest to do this? And I'm like, oh, we'll go take a look at the booking on the Vagaro and see who you can do. Well, I saw you said this person, but I didn't see anything available for her, so I booked that person.
Mhm.
It goes as simple as that. But instead of having accountability and saying, I'm not doing, and ownership saying, my books aren't open, I'm not giving availability to people for them to even book me,
Mhm.
you're putting it on, oh, I just need to do this at my house.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
you're putting all there, but you're not giving here. So what do you think you're going to get here? You're going to get what you're putting in. If you're putting in nothing,
You're gonna get
you're going
nothing.
to get nothing.
I mean, that's how that worked. I had an equation. I forgot how my equation was, but you remember my equation? It was about what you put in equals what you get out. You know, it
Yeah.
was a whole thing. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna break it down on another episode.
Yes, you're getting what you put in. So I just want people to understand when you're going into any career, even if you're going into entrepreneurship, you're going to get what you put in.
Hmm.
And you have to have accountability. Because guess what? When clients complain, whose name is it and who do you have to respond? I have to be on the front lines to respond. I have to take ownership and accountability of others, even if it's not my mess up.
Hmm.
It's on me.
Hmm.
When I have to take accountability for the wins, I can't just take accountability for the failures as well as the wins.
Hmm. Everything.
Everything. No one wants to be accountable these days.
Hmm.
And that is where we're having a problem when it comes to financials, when it comes to career, when it comes to family, when it comes to relationships. The amount of accountability that is being lacked by us as a whole, and I'm not talking about black people, I'm talking about all people,
All
us
people.
as a whole is staggering. But yet there's so much complaints. Even during this, right now we're in a whole election season,
Hmm.
and the lack of accountability of owning things is ridiculous. I didn't even want to watch a debate because I didn't want to sit there and listen to people go back and forth with no one giving any true answers or taking ownership and accountability of the things that they've contributed or have not contributed to our state of our world
I
right now.
think I think people need to just take a step back and evaluate, right?
Yes.
Evaluate the whole situation. Don't just be so focused on, well, it's her fault, it's her fault. You know, she didn't do this, she didn't do that, or placing blame. And think about, well, what did you do?
Yeah.
What did I do? Let me not even think about the other person. We're gonna just X them all out, and we're just gonna think about me. We're gonna focus on me. How did I handle this situation? What did I do in this situation that could have led me here? What could I do differently so that I don't keep experiencing the same thing for the repeated offenders
Yes.
that every salon they go to, like it's so funny because the natural hair industry in Charlotte is big but it's small.
Yes.
And when you're salon hopping, I know a stylist. We had a stylist that came and worked for us. She left because I guess the money wasn't working for her or whatever the case, right? So then she went to another salon, and we ended up hiring a stylist that she knew, and she asked, like, can you see if they're hiring? So when we had a conversation with her, she basically wanted to come back to us, and we're like, well, what are you going to do differently? Because this is why you said you left. And these were the things that we were suggesting for you to do before you leave. Open up your books, have more availability. We stop saying no to services. Take it. You have our training, our guidance right here with you. So if you come back, what is going to be different? That was the question we posed to her. And needless to say, she didn't come back, but she went somewhere else. We know where she went, right? And and
And it
she
didn't
just
work there either.
and it didn't work, and it didn't work there either for practically the same reason that you began with. So, at what point are you gonna stop to say, you know what? It's me. I'm the problem. I'm the reason why I cannot be successful in this industry. It is me.
Yes. And I can take ownership. I will take ownership all day and have accountability. I know my flaws and I know my imperfections. I'm direct, so I have to constantly work on delivery.
Mm-hmm.
Is being direct is not a problem, but it's about how you deliver it. So I have to constantly work on how I deliver my message.
Mm-hmm.
And I've even taken different steps to have accountability for myself in that. So now I no longer have meetings with anyone without someone else present
Mm-hmm.
because I need my checks and balances so that they can check me. So that even after the meeting, I'm like, okay, what were your thoughts? What did you see from that?
Mm-hmm.
So that you can hold me accountable to make sure that I am going about things the way that it needs to be. I have checks and balances, but others do not.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a strong lack in this world right now, but definitely in the salon industry
Mm-hmm.
of lack of accountability and ownership. It's to the point where a lot of people, where there was a conversation between whether or not to do salons or suites, which we're going to talk about that on another episode. But a lot of people are to the point now where they're like, I don't even want to touch this business
Mm-hmm.
anymore because you're putting your all into it as a business owner. You're showing up. You're making sure that they're provided for. You're doing all these things, but they're not.
They can't show up to
They
work.
can't show
They
up to
can't be
work.
present. They don't clean up behind
They're
themselves.
not opening up their books. Every time that something coming up with a client, it's a no, no, no. Oh, well, I don't, that's against my availability and I don't want to work it. Well, you're supposed to be building clientele. At this point, you kind of move around to make sure that you want to retain clients. You don't want to just get a client, you want to get them and retain them.
Mm-hmm.
There's no accountability. So now we're getting to a point where there's a lot of people who don't want to be a part of this industry,
Mm-hmm.
that have had long-standing salons and have said, you know what, give me a suite.
Right. Because
So,
sometimes you just be like, you know what? And as a, business owner, salon suite owner, sometimes, you just dealing with the clientele is one thing. I mean, the clientele is the easy part.
easy.
They easy to deal with. Some people are like, oh, it's the clients. No, the clients is easy. It's the workers. It's getting the stylists because one thing, and I know we take a different stance on it because we tend to get stylists that's coming fresh out of school opposed to seasoned stylists. Like we will hire seasoned stylists, but our passion is with stylists coming from school because they usually don't have a place to really get grounded and start because people want to hire stylists that already have experience.
Well, then, and also because they, I like to do it, at least what I saw from you guys, and also why I like to do it is because it's a wonderful thing to watch someone grow,
Right,
and
yeah.
to pour into them, and also let's be clear and honest. When you go to cosmetology school or even natural hair care school, or I can't even speak for the barber industry because I don't know, but mainly those classes and that certification and towards licensure is to get you to pass state board.
Right.
They are not like going into specialty like, oh, let me show you how to do microlocks, or oh, let me show you how to do a wig install or how to
Mm-hmm.
make your own wigs or anything like that. Mainly they are going through and making sure that you can pass state board.
Mm-hmm.
So you're checking off things to say, okay, I can put this in safely.
Mm-hmm.
I've washed my hands
Mm-hmm.
before I
I
touch them. I
disinfect
have a
barber
clean towel. I
side.
have clean clips, and I can sew this weft on and not hurt and damage and harm the client.
Right.
But they're not taught. They're not teaching really skill,
Yeah.
right?
But
Or time frames as well.
yeah.
So that's why when you get a new stylist who's out of school, you have the opportunity to hone in on them and be able to help grow them in skills that was not taught in cosmetology school or natural hair
That's
school.
true, but it also too goes back into cosmetology, the natural hair world, the beauty industry. It will make or break you. And
Absolutely.
you typically can figure that out while you're in school if this is a passion, because even when I was in school at 16, I was able to see the ones that it made and the ones that it broke, because yeah, you like doing hair, it's a hobby, you know what you're doing, but sometimes it's not a passion, and when it's not a
Yes.
passion, your drive and your hustle is different.
Absolutely.
Your accountability, I believe, is a little different. It hits different for the ones that are really passionate and serious about this is my life, this is my livelihood. They take it seriously. They're going those, like, we could see the difference between those stylists opposed to the ones that's like, oh well, I just do this for a little extra money. It's like
Well, I'm gonna try
whatever.
this.
Yeah, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna see how it works, and then they might realize that it's not really for them, but they don't realize that it's not for them. Like it might not click yet.
And in the meantime, you're putting our businesses in compromising positions with our clients, with our name, with our reputation, while you're trying this out.
Mm-hmm.
We're the ones that's going to be left to be held accountable for your actions. Even if we didn't take you, even if we didn't book the appointment, even if they booked from off of Instagram and saw it and clicked it and booked an appointment, our names are still going to be the ones that's being held to task for it. But I refuse to be accountable for someone else who lacks accountability. And that's in the business world as well as in the relationship world.
We're going to get into that later. And so, with that being said, this topic is loaded and it could transition to so many other topics. But if you are a person that is experiencing the same situation in different places. Maybe you just need to take a look at yourself and ask yourself, like, what am I doing wrong and what could I be doing better? And not focus on what they did, because that goes into placing blame. It's real easy to cast onto others. Just focus on yourself.
Yes. And it's not, accountability is not a bad place to be. It's
No,
also not an easy
it's
place to be.
growth.
It's not an easy place to be, to own and say, you know what, I may have had a wrong tone when I talked to you,
Mm-hmm.
and own that.
Own
It's
it.
not, it's not easy to look in the mirror and say, I was that person. But the beauty in it is being like, to be able to say I was that person, to be able to take that and grow and become a different person, and to become a better person, to then know how to handle situations better.
It's growth.
So don't be afraid of accountability, but in order to have accountability, you also have to have self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And so work on self-awareness, work on accountability, and if we all were to be accountable for our actions, I think the world and the state of everything would be in a much better place, at least getting to a point of rising.
Mm-hmm.
But we're in a time frame where it's a finger pointing here, finger pointing there. Everybody is the problem. Everybody else is a problem, but not here.
Mm-hmm.
So just be accountable, guys. Just be
Until next
accountable.
time, Brunch Beauty Life Podcast. Like, share, and subscribe.
Comments as well. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. Bye, guys.
See ya.